I just saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It's a great animated film, an awesome superhero film. It's just an overall amazing film. This review will be mostly spoiler-free. I will probably talk about spoilers in a future video, which will probably end up being a podcast. The film is about Miles Morales, a half African American, half Puerto Rican teenage boy who gets bitten by a radioactive spider. After the Peter Parker in his universe dies, another universe's Peter Parker and other spider people appear in Miles' universe. This movie is really good. I love how it focuses on Miles. I was hyped about this film ever since the teaser trailer first came out. Miles looked really cool as Spider-Man in the trailer. Chills rolled down my spine when I saw him visit Peter Parker's grave. I was really looking forward to this movie for a very long time. I love the animation and art style of this film. It is very one of a kind. Into the Spider-Verse has the best animation ever in a Sony Pictures Animation film. I'm shocked that this film was made by the same studio that made the Emoji Movie. This movie is based on the Miles Morales Ultimate Spider-Man series of comics, the Spider-Man comic miniseries, and the Spider-Verse comic event. Out of these three, the only comic I've read is the Spider-Verse one. It's a mess. It's about spider people getting hunted down by vampires called the Inheritors. The Spider-Verse event is very different from the film adaptation. Into the Spider-Verse is better than the comic event it was loosely based on. The film is about Miles Morales' origin story. After gaining his powers, he later witnesses his universe's Spider-Man die, just like in the comics. The film has other spider people in it. Besides Miles, there's Peter Parker, the main Spider-Man. There's Spider-Gwen, there's Spider-Man Noir, there's Penny Parker, and there's Spider-Ham. The film mostly focuses on Peter, Miles, and Gwen. Still, the other spider people, while having slightly less screen time, are still a blast to see on screen. The film's main villain is Kingpin, and he is great. I'm glad to see Kingpin finally in a Spider-Man film. I really wanted to see the Netflix Daredevil version of Kingpin appear in this MCU Spider-Man film, but I don't know if that will ever happen. So having this version of the character is the next best thing. Kingpin is brutal in this movie. He is just as aggressive as he is in the Daredevil Netflix TV series. He's an absolute unit. I just love his character design. I teared up when I saw Stan Lee's cameo in this movie. It was a great cameo. The film even paid tribute to him and Steve Ditko during the film's credits, since both of Spider-Man's creators died in 2018. This film is great, and I love all the references to the Raimi trilogy that were in the trailer. I love how they made fun of Emo Peter from Spider-Man 3. Speaking of the Raimi films, the original plan was to have Tobey Maguire to voice Peter Parker in this movie. Sadly, the creators of this film decided not to have him in the film because they thought it would confuse people. Still, Jake Johnson does a great job portraying Spider-Man. I briefly want to talk about this film's soundtrack. The Into the Spider-Verse soundtrack is full of original songs, including Sunflower by Sway Lee and Post Malone. This album reminds me of the Black Panther album that Marvel hired Kendrick Lamar to do. Still, nothing in the Into the Spider-Verse soundtrack is near as good as my cover of Venom. I got that adrenaline momentum, and I'm not knowing when I'm gonna slow up, and I'm ready to snap at any moment. I'm thinking about the time to go get 'em. They ain't gonna know what hit 'em when they get bit with the venom. This film has an end credit scene that teases a sequel, and it's hilarious. I'm gonna give a spoiler warning here. This is the only spoiler in the video. If you don't want spoilers for the end credit scene, skip to this part. The end credit scene features Spider-Man 2099 and 60s Spider-Man. It's hilarious. Okay, spoilers are over. A sequel and spin-off films have been confirmed, including a Spider-Woman movie and a Spider-Ham movie. This movie is great. This movie makes me happy that Sony still owns the rights to Spider-Man. I know that Sony already has permission to use Spider-Man characters in their animated films, But I really hope that this movie's success leads to Disney licensing over other Marvel characters to Sony so they can appear in Sony animated films. I really want a Daredevil animated film now, especially since I really love the film's animated version of Kingpin. I don't know if that will happen, but it'd be really cool to have an animated version of the MCU. Disney, of all people, should have been doing this. I've wanted an animated Marvel film ever since I saw this fan art of a Pixar version of Iron Man. But instead of having their main studio or Pixar make animated Marvel films, Disney just makes cheaply animated Marvel animated shows, like the Spider-Man cartoon, which is terrible. Anyway, Into the Spider-Verse is great. Go watch it. This has been ShadeX, and thanks for watching.